Great to have you on our show, and I'd like to welcome you and get it all started with how did you get involved with football as a kid, Mr. Josh?
I started playing football in the sixth grade. So I wouldn't say that it was anything more than me wanting to try something different. At that point, I was playing soccer, basketball, baseball. I was on a speed roller skating team. That was really cool during the 80s and very beginning of the 90s. And was also running track at that point. So football was something, I never was a very large man. So, like you hear a lot today, moms are not real popular on their kids getting, blown up and whatnot. But I wanted to play with my buddies at school. And that's really where it started.
Definitely, man. So growing up, who are some of your sports role models, Josh?
Terry Bradshaw was somebody I watched. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. Now, you got to remember, I lived in Oklahoma. I didn't have cable. And so after church on Sundays, that's, every now and then we got Pittsburgh because they were big and, when I was growing up. But I got Kansas City and I got Dallas. That was pretty much it. We didn't have the far-reaching cable antenna stuff, so I was kind of sequestered in the Midwest region with what teams they had to offer at the time. And obviously, in the '90s, it was all Dallas. Those were the guys. But like any other kid, I watched basketball. I loved Michael Jordan. I had the Come Fly With Me 1991 VHS tape. My brother had ordered Sports Illustrated and that tape came in, and it was such a huge, I don't think it was motivation like we think of motivation today. It was, this guy's flying through the air. I got to learn how to do that because there's no reason why I can't. And I didn't have video games. I think I had a Nintendo for like 2 weeks. It ended up becoming like a coaster or something. But I was an active kid outside, and, seeing that video just propelled me to, how do I jump like this guy?
Definitely, man.
which turned out good. I was a high jumper in college and in high school. And, it all started with that.
Definitely, man. So with that college transition, how did Nebraska come about for you? And what was their pitch for you to come play football for
them? Nebraska came, in Foyle, Oklahoma. So I grew up in Tulsa till I was 13. And then when Tulsa, the area we were living in, wasn't the best area, my parents decided to move me to this little town called Foyle, like aluminum foil. Foyil. 250 people, played 8-man football in high school. So that's how small this town was. And, we didn't have enough people to do an 11-man team. But I started getting letters. I was a running back and a safety. I was having some success. I kicked field goals and could always do that like that. I never really worked on that. That was just kind of something that I could do. But I started to get some letters from Nebraska about my junior year, decided to take the summer and go to their camp. I think in high school, I thought I was big, and then I went to a Nebraska football camp during the summer, and there are these corn-fed
masses,
grown men in high school with beards, and put on a good display there, as far as my kicking ability goes. And Coach Dan Young saw me. Coach Osborne was there. It's the mid 90s. Nebraska's running the show as far as college football is concerned. And Tom Osborne just offered me on the spot, said, we'd love to have you come, in the fall after your senior year, keep up the good work, blah, blah, those kind of things. And that's really what kicked off really the recruiting process. And, by the time I was ready, in a position to make a decision, I had multiple offers, and I took a visit to Oklahoma, and then I went to Nebraska, and Nebraska just felt good. It just felt like home. Tom Osborne just really was that genuine man, leader. Obviously, the team was on top of the world at the time. And my mom felt the same way. And, at that point, I didn't know how to make that decision. I wasn't thinking NFL. I wasn't thinking post. I was the first person to go to college in my family, and I was the first person in my town to go to a Division I school for something other than, some normal, job, career, whatever it may be. So it was a really big deal. My mom helped me make that decision, and she felt the same way about it. And I had 5 scheduled visits, and I took 2.
Definitely, man. So with that transition to Nebraska, how did that prepare you for the leap to the NFL?
Well, I think playing, in a program where the expectations were always very high, playing under great coaches that always expected the most out of their players because you were playing at Nebraska, that alone was a big deal. You had a large responsibility to uphold that name, uphold the 9 game winning season record that they had going at that time. There was a lot of different things that really propelled you to be conscious of winning and being the best. And plus they had the best facilities. Their weight room was ridiculous, and it's twice that size now. It's a whole other level. And college campuses today, they have to have those amenities, but playing under that size of a crowd with that much, I guess, overall glory, you had to win. And I don't necessarily believe that the NFL, my first couple of years was something I was necessarily shooting for. At this point, it was like, I want to graduate on time. What am I going to do with my life? And I think it just hit me one day, and I said, you know what? I think maybe I can make the combine. I had some other kicking coaches saying you really need to, buckle down in this area, try to work on these things. And that last year, I just didn't let a whole lot get in my way. I focused, put all my energy and my time and my money into training and to preparing to even be invited to the combine. And I was the last guy invited. And coincidentally, the only guy drafted in that class. And it was because, I went to Nebraska. I had the people, the support, and also, my future agent and, the people that they put me in contact with. I had great coaches.
Definitely. So with that leap to the NFL, how did you handle the critics and the naysayers when they started chirping at you at that next level?
In the beginning, you're 23, 24 years old. I hadn't been properly trained to address that kind of stuff. Before this all shed and was gone, that was like a bullseye on my head. Literally, I don't know if you have a bald spot, but it was literally a bullseye on the back.
One right here. It's a bump from when I was a kid. I fell up, and it's a pop knot, and I got my hair cut next, and it's left a bald spot right here. That's it.
That's how it starts, Zach. That's how it starts. But I came in, with Matt Hasselbeck and Trent Dilfer, and Trent Dilfer came up to me like my first couple of weeks in the league and just kind of was peeking over the top of me. And I had never even met him. You know, I hadn't spoken with him since I had been there. And he goes, I give it 2 years. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, you're going to be bald in 2 years. And I was bald in 2 years. I really was. I don't know. But, you know, to kind of go back to your question, that was the target that people really just hammered and hammered and hammered on me about. And for the longest time, you know, I tried to keep my helmet on or put a hat on, and none of it was working. So I just shaved it. Try to take away some of the things that they were picking on me about, because, you know, as a young guy, as an insecure player who was really trying to just get the job done and be focused on making each kick count. You know, in the beginning, yeah, it was hard, man, especially when you went to places like Philly. No,
they're ruthless as heck, man.
They just ate your soul in a brown paper bag. Like, they just chewed you up. And, you know, before long, you just got to stay away from it. But, you know, over time, you really, you obtain the skills of how to really block things out. And that's what I worked on the most. I mean, my physical attributes were there, but it was the mental part. It was the mental side that propelled me, you know, in the latter years of my career to really be a solid guy that everybody could count on no matter what.
Definitely, man. So in your duration of your NFL journey, what was the most difficult part about kicking in the NFL?
You know, a lot of it is uncontrollable things. You know, you can't control the wind. You can't control what other people are doing. So I think for me, you know, it's learning how to control the uncontrollable. You know, so many kickers concentrate and fear the wind. You have to learn to use it. You have to learn how your game, how your stroke, how your ball flies, and how do I use the things I can't control to my advantage. And I got really good at that later on in my career. But different turfs, you know, when I used to play against St. Louis, when I was in Seattle, that turf was awful. It was horrible because they laid it down before every game. So when I would step and plant, the carpet would actually move, you know, and then you would go to Oakland and you're running from dirt to grass. I remember the coach would take us to a baseball field, and we would have to run from the outfield to the infield and from the infield to the outfield to kind of get used to those transitions. So, you know, when it comes down to it, I mean, it's really the uncontrollable things that you have to kind of adapt and learn how to control. But, you know, there wasn't anything like terribly awful about playing in the league. You know, look from this side now, you know, looking back, it's like, it wasn't that bad. You know, I mean, these were all things we could overcome. And for the most part, we did.
Definitely. So that transitions us to the next topic, life after football. How have you applied the trials and tribulations of the game to your personal life?
Well, I think more than anything, it's how do you bounce back? How do you bounce back from a miss or, you know, or letting people down, you know? I mean, and I have kids. I have 5 children. You know, if I had come home from the game and ending the game and just carried the weight of that into how I parent and how I do things at home, it would be a demoralizing, depressing place to be. I think more than anything, you've got to turn your trials and the hard times into blessings, and you got to be grateful for them because they all have something to teach. You know, and that's a really hard thing to do because it's very easy to mope. It's very easy to put yourself into a victim state of mind to where all you want to do is point fingers and be mad at this or mad at that. And in the end, it would do me more damage to sit in that bucket of self-sulking salt. I mean, it just deteriorate me as a person, and it would deteriorate my children over long. So my legacy plays a very large part in how I choose to perceive the obstacles that have come. But with that being said, the transition is real. The transition from going in the NFL and having NFL money coming in every month to, hey, now we get to work in the real world where, it's 60, 70 hours a week and you're looking at your paycheck going, that's already gone. It is not easy. I was speaking with some other retired guys yesterday, and all of us have issues. I will say that they're not problems, they're issues. There are things that we have to overcome. And we have to wake up every day with a positive attitude and try to manage that mental perspective on how am I going to win today, because it's never going to be like it was when I lived in Disneyland. This is the real world. It's very, very different. People think very differently than we were taught to think for 25 plus years. So adaptation is a real thing. This is hard work, and some guys can manage it and some guys cannot. And some days are harder than others. But the end of the game is you're either going to fight or you're going to sit there and die. And we got to continue to work and continue to try to find ways to use the skills that we attained while we were in sports for so long and bring it into the real world. And you've got to find a job that you actually enjoy doing. If you're not passionate about it, you are wasting your time, and it's going to be painful.
Definitely. Well, Josh, my next couple questions are brought to you by B&D Sports Media, where you can put your analyzing hat on, man.
All right.
How do you feel about your former team, the Seattle Seahawks, trading Russell Wilson? And do you think they got enough in return for the Super Bowl champion quarterback?
Man, I knew we were going to go there with this.
Heck yeah, man.
It's mind-boggling because, I can text all the people I want that are still in that building, and I will never get a straight answer. Just like you will never get a straight answer out of any of those people. I don't know the inner workings. As a fan and as someone who, I was acquainted with Russell. I wouldn't say that I know him. I've acquainted with him. If I saw him in a crowd, we would say hello. But he's the leader of that team. He's the leader. All the success that they've had starts with him and Pete.
Heck yeah, man.
What a big move. And to answer your question, did they get enough? Time will tell. Who's going to lead? Who's going to drive that ship? Obviously Pete's still there. Pete's still doing his thing, and he's got great coaches around him, and a city that is just unrelenting about their love for the Seahawks. But what a surprising move. I was not prepared for that whenever that broke, like a week or so ago. And I have so many of my buddies that are still there that are, they love Russell. They love Russell Wilson. They love what he stands for. They love what he's brought to the city and the community. And Denver got a good one. Because I don't think he's over the hill. I don't think he's outside of his prime. I think like any quarterback, you give them weapons, they can still do it. Peyton Manning could come back today if he had 4, all pro, wide receivers. It's all with what you have to work with.
Look at Tom Brady came out of retirement
right
after 40 days, man.
Dude, And I was talking about that with my wife this morning. She goes, "How do you feel about it?" I said, "I think the whole thing is planned. I think it's a sham. I don't think he ever retired. I think it's just part of the marketing. Whether that's true or not is I have no idea. But that's me. You know, I don't believe that he's the type of guy, because we've seen these memes now and everybody's saying, "Oh, he got home with the kids," you know, and now he wants to go back and play. Okay, I have 5 kids. Okay, and yeah, there are some really tough days. I have my oldest boy, or my wife's oldest son, my oldest stepson. You know, he has special needs, and there are days where it's like, give me a break. Like, this is so hard. But at the end of the day, that is not the reason Tom left retirement, because he doesn't want to spend time with his kids. I think that has nothing necessarily to do with it in the negative sense that people are putting it out there. I believe it's always been. I think he was always coming back. I don't think he's going to retire until they make him.
Definitely. His burning desire to play football and his dedication to his craft, I think, is second to none. Like,
yeah,
he's a straight beast.
He's obsessed with the game, as we all are at that point, but he can still play. You know, he's still playing at a high level. He's still got good people around him. They're going to continue to spend money and put money around him. It's not like he needs the money, you know? So it's very interesting. It's very interesting to watch this saga of Tom Brady. I think it's great. I mean, standing on, you know, this side of the fence, regardless how much money you make, that's has been our life. It's been our life, and it's what we know. And I've seen a lot of quarterbacks that were starters that, you know, they take 2 or 3 more years and they sit behind the bench, you know, because they become coaches, really. You know, yeah, I'm your backup quarterback, but I don't expect to play more than 10 plays this year, maybe a game in the preseason. But they're making great money sitting on the bench. He ain't ever going to do that.
No, I don't think so either, man.
He is not a backup mindset kind of fella. We all know him, Peyton Manning, all of these, you know, legendary quarterbacks that have left the game. They can walk into a head coaching job right now if they wanted to, and they could run the show offensively for sure.
Okay.
Good quarterbacks can probably call both sides of the ball, you know, because that's why they're good. They understand defense. They understand why people, you know, shift and put themselves into positions and why they do what they do. But what a saga, man.
Definitely.
This dude's a legend. He's a legend. He's the best.
For sure. This is going to another saga. Being Odell Beckham's teammate for 3 seasons. How did you build a relationship or a friendship with him? His big personality guy, dancing and everything.
I love that kid. I absolutely love OBJ. We may get interrupted. I have a 2-year-old downstairs, so
You're fine. Hey,
walk upstairs.
Tell him to join the show.
he might. We won't get a word in edgeways. He's down there playing with the dogs. OBJ, you know what started it is I was number 3. So that was always my number. He was number 3 at LSU. So obviously he wanted my number when he got drafted. So like any good veteran, I said no. And he goes, well, you know, like, when are you going to retire? I was like, not anytime soon. I'm not at this point, I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon. You know, I was like 36, 37 years old at the time. And I said, but hey, money talks, you know, you want the number. You know, it's not like I'm selling, you know, all these jerseys and whatnot. Like that's the rational part of my brain, the realistic part of my brain. But honestly, I loved him. He was so talented, one of the most amazing rookies, young guys I've ever seen. I've never seen people do the things that he was capable of doing. And the stuff that you guys see on TV, things you see on games, he has done tenfold in practices, things that would blow your mind. One of the amazing things that I saw in we were doing, it was a punt return drill. He was he was the returner. And the goal of this drill was to, they were doing the flip kicks, the Aussie roll kicks, and they wanted the ball, stuck inside the 10. So the gunner runs out of bounds or gets around the DB and is posted up on the goal line, and the ball is coming down. So he's looking up, catching the ball. Obviously, it's in the corner. Odell's nowhere to be seen. As the ball comes down, he runs by the guy and goes over the top of the ball as it's going to the ground, sucks it up while he's running. Now I'm standing next to Coach Coughlin.
That's crazy.
Watching the drill, and out of nowhere, he just, at full speed, the ball is on its way down, rotating like this, and he just, and keeps moving. And Coach Coughlin goes, "Did you see that?" I said, I think I did. I don't know what I just saw, but I think I saw what you saw. Like, how did he catch that? I don't understand. Like, but his hands, like, I have extra large gloves, and I had him sign gloves for me. These things are 4X. Like, I have extra large hands. Like, I don't think I have small hands. Obviously, compared to like Javon Curse and guys like that who are, the size of my screen, he has huge hands. The only other receiver I've seen with fingers that long is when I played with Jerry Rice, and I can't explain where those fingers come from, but they were almost 2 inches longer than my fingers. And I'm taller than he is. The dude just sucked the ball up. There are things that don't make sense. His jug machine drills, catching balls as they go by over the top, the one-handed catch, all that stuff he practices. And he was really a delight to be with, quite frankly. He was not an animal in the locker room. He was a lot of fun, always dancing, always joking, riding his Segway around in circles until administration told him he couldn't do it anymore.
Out for his whole career, I think that catch against Dallas is going to be
pretty
for
impressive.
decades that people are going to know about it.
Falling down, going backwards. Yeah. And I remember that night, I was standing on the sideline, watching this situation occur, and all of a sudden everybody goes nuts. I'm like, did he catch that? What is happening here? Like, he had no reason. He wasn't in position to get that ball. But it's just a testament to who he is. He's relentless, when it comes to really going and getting it. I was really sad to see what happened in the Super Bowl, because he had just fought back and was really just having a game. And I was so excited for him, because he is a passionate player. There's plenty of things to talk about when it comes to his passion. He broke my net during a game. It's one of them things. Thanks, dude. But he really was a delight. He was a smart kid, and by far the most talented rookie I've ever seen.
Hey, those net helmet to net videos have streamed live all over the world, man.
I don't know what cheap steel they're using to make that thing. It was obviously an older net, and I'm an older guy. Maybe I don't know why that net was even there, but he bent that thing in half.
Well, Josh, let's end on this, man. Where can my audience find you on social media?
Oh, wow. You probably need to ask my wife. Let's see. JC Brown 3 is my Instagram. I've got a Josh Brown Facebook. People are more than welcome to reach out anytime. Send me DMs. I post as often as I can, but it's not a lot. I will say it's not a lot. We're just busy here with kids. I'm coaching football, coaching basketball, so I'm very involved in the kids' school and the community here, and just trying my best to get along and enjoy my retirement.
Heck yeah. Well, Josh Brown, it's been a blessing to have you on our show, and we'd welcome you on for another one, my friend.